You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey guys, welcome back to Cards to the Moon. This is episode 381, and my name is Clark from 5cardguys.com. And you can also find me at 5cardguys, all spelled out, all one word, on IG, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. All right, it's another Friday episode, and I'm doing a short solo intro because I need to get ready and start packing for the 2 card shows I'll be traveling to. In fact, by the time you hear this episode, I'll be most likely flying to LA to attend the West Coast Card Show after spending a full day at Fanatics Fest the day before in New York City. So make sure to follow me on Instagram and YouTube, where I'll be posting updates there, and I'll definitely have the usual recap podcast episode at some point when I get back to Toronto. And by the time this airs, I hope a couple of big transactions I expect to take place at Fanatics Fest will have gone through smoothly, and I can share that with you guys soon. But for this episode, I also have a special guest interview with a collector from the Dominican Republic, and I hope you stick around for that talk because his hobby story is pretty amazing. And something I found out during that interview was that he started his own hobby shop back in 1999, I believe, when Pokemon was first starting to blow up. So there's obviously some deja vu going on with how the Pokemon card market is going today. And he's also a sports card dealer, so you'll hear about his journey, including when we met up at the Sport Card Expo here in Toronto. So stay tuned for that. But I'll have to talk quickly. As I mentioned, I'll be attending both Fanatics Fest and the West Coast Card Show on the same weekend. And something I'll be looking out for is whether it's noticeable just how much the hobby seems to have grown even over this past year alone. Now, I know Fanatics Fest is primarily a sports fan convention with a sports card element to it, but I was saying to a friend the other day, even if you look from year 1 to year 2 of Fanatics Fest, the sports card element of the show was noticeably larger and more prominent. And this year, for year 3, it'll be interesting to see if it takes another step up. Of course, the wild card is the fact that there are a couple of other big shows taking place the same weekend, such as the aforementioned West Coast Card Show and the Dallas Card Show as well. So the question really is, has the hobby grown to such an extent that all 3 of these shows can sustain itself with enough collectors attending all of them? I'm pretty hopeful, personally speaking, and even checking out the footage of what the Javits Center looks like right now in NYC, there are big posters of some sick-looking sports cards covering the glass walls of the convention center for the whole world to see. So yeah, I will definitely report back, and we'll see if the World Cup crowd plays a factor with, of course, Spain in the finals now, and as of this recording, the game between Argentina and England hasn't started yet, but no matter who wins, I'm betting on it being a very lively atmosphere in New York City. So wish me luck, guys. I feel like I'm not going to get enough sleep over the next few days, but yeah, maybe that's a good spot to end this intro. And like I promised, here now is the interview with Pablo, my good hobby friend from the Dominican Republic. Enjoy. All right, we got another special guest on the pod today. He's actually been on the pod before when we did our Sport Card Expo recap after we set up at the show in Toronto. And he was one of our loyal listeners who came to our booth to say hi and answer some questions for us. But I wanted him back on the pod because in one of our chats, I found out he was from the Dominican Republic, and he shared what the hobby scene was like back in DR and just what it took for him to find inventory to bring back and all the work involved that I'm sure a lot of us here in Canada and in the US take for granted. So without further ado, Pablo, welcome again back to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure for me to be here, being here.
No, I'm glad you're able to come on, and you were just speaking off air how I'm excited to hear about your experience because, like I just mentioned, we take a lot of things for granted, just being in
Yes,
close
yes,
vicinity, do a lot of card shows and things like that. So we'll touch upon those things, but let's start
yes.
from the beginning. Pablo, when and how did you get into sports cards, especially from where you grew up?
Okay. Basically, here it's a very scarce product. I remember when I was in school in the 70s. I'm
Okay.
a bit old, older than you guys. So I remember when the 70s, there used to be vendors outside school that would sometimes bring cards and we buy them.
Hmm.
Those are all long time gone, so I don't remember. I don't have any of that left. But I came back to cards again when I was in my honeymoon
Okay.
in 1990. When I got married, I went to my honeymoon with my wife. We went to Miami and we went to Disney, but I was in Miami and I went into a shop and saw baseball packs, 1990 tops, I remember.
Hmm.
And they had individual cards also selling. That's when I understood or learned for the first time that every card had a different value.
Hmm.
For me, that was the first time I encountered that
Right.
because I had never before been in contact with cards. There was no internet in that time. So we're talking about a time when everything was not as easy as it is today. For
Sure.
example, in communication.
Yes.
So then I that was the first encounter I had.
Hmm.
Uh,
Did you remember,
and
back in the 70s, when you're growing up, like you said, there were some vendors. Do you even remember what kind of cards that they had or?
yeah, I remember there was basically what I remember was the basketball, the long cards from basketball,
Oh,
the
yeah,
big long
yeah.
ones,
Yes.
and some 1972 cards also.
Okay. So do you remember which players you like to collect when you're younger?
Basically, I remembered as a little kid that the local baseball teams used to have contracts with big leagues, and which the first team I always collected, and I'm now I've been through time fan is the Dodgers.
Hmm.
The Dodgers were they had a contract with our the baseball team from the Dominican Winter League, and Licey is the name of the local team. And
Okay.
I remember, for example, that local Dodger players would come. I remember more further in my life. I remember when I was a bit older, I saw Mike Scioscia playing
Hmm.
here. Orel Hershiser pitched here.
Wow.
Guerrero was is Dominican from an opposing team. He used to play here. So
Guerrero Senior.
yes,
Right.
no, not Vladimir Guerrero, Pedro Guerrero. Sorry, I'm
Oh,
talking
sorry,
about
sorry. Okay.
a
Yes.
bit back.
Okay.
That he used to play here. I remember Eden Fuhrer. I remember a lot of Dodger fans. So
Hmm.
at the end, I became a Dodger fan through time.
Okay.
Uh,
I won't hold that against you, being a Blue Jays
okay.
fan.
No, but now let me tell you something.
Sure.
We this time, my son is now living in Toronto, so
Yes.
I like live fly more, and there's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. there,
Right.
so I really sympathize for the Blue Jays.
All right.
Really for this World Series, I was biased. I said whoever wins, I'm okay.
Yeah, it's a win-win scenario for you
Yes,
then.
yes, for me, yes. I've been in touch with now with Toronto. I've been to games every time I go.
Yeah,
So for me, it's very nice. I've always liked Toronto, and I liked it more now.
amazing, amazing. We always love people that come visit our beautiful city, and like
Yes,
I mentioned off the top, you came to the Sport Card Expo, so it was great to meet you
yes,
in person. I'm wondering though, just going back to your story when you went to Miami
yes,
on your honeymoon and you saw
yes.
singles, you saw that they had value. Where did you
Mhm.
go from there?
Well, basically, what I remember now through time is that I started learning about Beckett magazine
Right.
in the 90s. I bought and then in that time we started having couriers. For example, for us, we have a PO box in Miami where they ship
Hmm,
everything. So and there's a Dominican courier that then company that brings it here. So
I
we
see.
at the end pay double shipping because we have to pay shipping to Miami and shipping to the DR.
Right.
So I remember receiving the monthly Beckett magazine, like everybody else that wanted to see the up signs and whatever, and read some of the articles. And it was starting like I told you, the internet was starting to boom up. So what I usually did was I buy cards, whatever.
Hmm.
I remember when Mike Piazza was a rookie. I don't remember what Bowman. I don't know if you remember the year the Bowman came out. The first time Bowman came back,
Okay.
I think it was 90s early when Piazza
Sure.
was a rookie.
Yeah.
I remember buying that and saying, "Well, what a good investment, Mike Piazza, rookie, whatever."
Yeah.
And from then on, I sporadically bought. I collected. I have lots of players from the 80s, basically 90s. I
Right.
had a whole bunch of Ken Griffey Jr. I remember the '89 Upper Deck also.
Yeah. Iconic
The
set.
rookie, yes, iconic.
Yeah.
And for example, through time, that's what I've been doing. What I did was I would buy on internet and open packs. I like to open packs.
Right.
That's
Sure.
that's everybody likes to
We
open
all love
packs.
it. Yeah.
And what I did was those cards. I would then every time I went to the states, I
Hmm.
would sometimes sell on
Okay.
eBay and take them with me
Yeah.
because shipping from here is very complicated too. So I
Right.
prefer to do it that way. But in 1999, I decided to open a hobby store. I
Oh
opened a
wow. Okay.
When I was
Where?
opening the store, basically what I did was I'm going to sell the inventory I have as part of the store.
Yeah.
And when I started going to Miami or whatever to buy,
Hmm.
I encountered what was the start of Pokemon. Pokemon was
Wow. Yes.
just
Sure.
starting.
Yeah.
So everybody told me buy some Pokemon. That's going to be a huge success.
Uh huh.
And I did, and business started there. We used to have tournaments with DCI tournaments with Wizards of the Coast in those years.
Wow.
I had the store from 1999 to 2005.
Okay.
And we did a lot of Magic, a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh in that time.
Yeah.
Baseball has been always very slow here. It's starting to grip now, but
Yeah.
basically it was TCG in that
Oh
time.
wow. Even in the late '90s, early 2000s.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Everybody liked Pokemon. I remember the tops cards from Pokemon, the ones that weren't the playing cards, were the collecting cards.
Yeah.
Everybody was crazy with Pokemon because it was just started in 1999 when it started with
Yeah.
Wizards of the Coast. So from then, from 2005 on, I started working. And I worked before. I worked in a bank first. I left the bank and started with a
Mm.
business. Then a situation here with the government and
Okay.
whatever was hard, and the exchange rate went from 16% to 60% one day to another. So business went slow. All prices
Yeah.
had to be tripled, whatever, and so I stopped. I closed the business in that time. But I've always maintained myself in contact. Like I told you, I bought some
Yeah.
cards and sold them on eBay,
Yeah.
whatever. Then in 2000, I was looking at it in 2021 after the pandemic.
Hmm.
I decided instead of just doing this on eBay or whatever, I want to let's see if I open an IG page, my Instagram page,
Yep.
and start selling and showing cards there.
Right.
Nobody in the DR was doing that. In the Dominican Republic was doing that when I did that.
Yeah.
So I was incursioning or whatever, starting with a business there.
Mm.
From there up to now, I have over almost 6,000 followers. So I've
Amazing.
been growing a lot. A friend of mine has a TCG store, and he
Yeah.
told me again that somebody told me start with Pokemon, do Pokemon instead of
Sure.
baseball and Pokemon. You can do Pokemon. So
Yeah.
did Pokemon again, and it's right now it's booming again.
Right. So yeah, no,
Uh,
I should mention your Instagram pages at Home Run DR. So it has that
yes,
baseball reference, but you
yes,
you do deal with Pokemon, and yeah,
yes,
well,
yes.
I didn't know that you were into Pokemon since the very beginning, since 1999.
1999.
So
Yes,
is it kind of like deja vu for you, just the boom of the
yes,
Pokemon cards
yes.
now?
The transition was not hard to be back in Pokemon because I
Right.
had some reference. I remember in 1999, there's a story with my daughter.
Mm.
She was like 3 or 4 years old. Uh, she was, yeah, I was 5 years old. We had an activity with a newspaper, local newspaper, and we were giving out booster packs as part of the kids that went.
Yeah.
And my daughter opened the pack, and she got a Charizard foil from the
Ooh.
1999. It was not the base, but the unlimited was.
Right. Yes.
And I remember, and she always says, I gave her like 100 pesos. That was like $2 or $3. And I always say, you imagine I had kept all those cards up to now. But
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I guess you got rid of all of them
yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah. After I closed the business, I was a bit tight in money, so I had
Sure.
to basically sell everything. But I'm happy. So
Yeah.
so it has
Good.
been good to me.
Good. Good.
And now, after the pandemic and 2021, like I told you, I like restarted or rebooted the business.
Hmm.
And I had been to we met at Expo,
Yes.
but I had been 2 years previous in Expo. So when I went this year, I found that it had grown a lot. I saw that the show had grown. It was like I
Mm.
would say the first time I went 2 years ago, it was like half of that what the show that it was now.
Yeah. Wow.
So I
Yeah.
was really impressed, and I was very happy to be there.
Yeah. No,
Uh,
I'm glad you came up because even in that show that you came up to, we got a lot of international visitors. Mostly from the U.S. that
yes,
also listened to the podcast. But it just kind of really gave you some concrete examples of how the hobby is kind of bigger than
yes,
just our
yes,
local
yes.
community, right?
Yes, and I've been to nationals. I went to the first Fanatics Fest in New York,
Yes.
and I've been traveling a bit. But 2 years or 3 years ago, I decided to slow down with shows because for me it's very expensive.
Yeah.
And to go to a show, I have to pay a plane ticket that it's not cheap,
Mm.
and hotel. And don't say the benefit of being in Toronto is that my son lives there, so I don't have to
Right.
pay hotel.
Right.
So that was a plus for me in this trip.
Yeah.
But really, I like to go into shows
It's a lot of
and
fun.
meeting
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. That's the
I
best
met your
part.
team. I have met your team,
Yeah.
and also DC was a great guy.
Yeah.
We
Shout
did a lot of
out.
business together.
Amazing. Yeah. No. And speaking of DC, I'm going to meet him in the West Coast Card Show
Yeah,
in
yeah,
a
I
few
heard. Yeah.
days. But no, that's amazing. And I'm curious though. Just going back to where you live right now in the
hmm
Dominican, like, what is the sports card scene like in the DR right now?
Okay, right now, like I told you, I started with in 2021. Every day, more and more people are starting to open up or opening business, doing it through Instagram,
Okay.
especially Pokemon. Pokemon, it's a great pool because
Yeah.
it's
International.
really rapid and international, and it's growing rapidly.
Yes.
Baseball, it's a bit slower. There are not a lot of hobby collectors per se.
Interesting. Even with
Uh,
such a great baseball team.
yes, yes, but people don't know the value of cards, for
I see.
example. That's one thing.
Yeah.
And what I've encountered with people, because nobody knows about grading, o sea, they're starting to know about grading. They're starting
Mm,
to know about many things
right.
and the conditions of the card. What I've come into a lot is, for example, to the country. It's I didn't buy in that, but in the early '90s, in the junk wax era,
Mm,
there are a lot of cards here of what people bring to me and say, "Me, I have this old cards like 20, 30 years old," and
yeah.
people say, "Wow, there must be a lot of money because a modern card costs so much."
Yeah.
When you tell them the truth that it's really not that. Not that how you call it that much
Valuable.
value the junk wax era,
Yeah.
and you tell them that if you go to the states you can get a booster pack of 1990s for $2 or $3.
Right.
And even hall of famers don't have that much of a value, so people
Yep.
have cards from the junk wax era and think because they're old they're a lot of value, which is not true. and
You know
and
what?
you're starting to
Yeah.
let's say educate people and telling
Yeah.
them how does it work. how to to guard them so they don't get damaged.
Right.
For example, people say that with the bent corners and whatever, but it's a 30-year-old card. It should be in that condition. So it's
Sure.
you have to start like educating people about the business.
Yeah, no, for sure. And in some respects, it's the same here because a lot of people that aren't too familiar with the sports card scene, they kind of make that assumption that, oh, just because it's old, it must be worth a lot more. And then I tell them, well, that Todd Van Poppel rookie card's not worth anything,
Yeah.
or so, especially like you were saying in the junk wax era. So I'm curious then, when you were mentioning, I remember at the expo, how you like to look for cards that you think you'll be able to sell back home in
Yes,
DR.
yes.
Which cards are popular right now, and are there any ones
For
you're looking for?
example,
Yeah.
Dominican baseball players usually sell
Okay.
okay, and modern day Otani, for example.
Mm,
Uh, but people, like I told you, have a price range for cards.
mm,
They don't understand yet that for an Otani rookie now you have to pay over $100
right.
or whatever. So you have to go slowly telling them how to play.
Yeah.
And what I basically did to the last times I've been there with Pokemon too, the expensive cards or the bigger cards, what I did was take them to the show, sell,
Mm,
because locally there's not that much market for that.
right.
So what I did also, I'm gonna do an ad here for. I went with Slap Shark. I don't know if you know them. They're from
Yeah.
Canada.
Canadian. Yes.
Yeah, Canadian, yes. Very pleased with their service.
Yeah.
I left them a whole bunch of cards to sell.
Mm,
And I think that's what I'm going to do regularly more because there's some cards that just get stuck and you want to move on
sure.
inventory. So they gotta have a great service.
Yeah, there's a benefit of having consigners.
Yes,
Yeah, just
yes,
to move your
yes,
cards. Yeah, for sure. And one of the things we do take for granted is that if we have a big card here, it's easier to find buyers
yes,
who
yes,
have that kind of budget in
yes,
Canada and, of course, in the U.S. But yeah,
yes.
like for countries like the Dominican and even abroad, the budget is much different
Yes, it's
than
much different.
yeah,
And like I told you, for example, for us, things are get a bit expensive because we have to pay twice shipping, one to
that's right.
Miami and one to here. So,
Yeah.
and then taxes and whatever we have to pay. So at
Hmm.
the end, it's hard to compete with the internet also because
Sure.
people see a price in internet and say, "But you're selling me a bit more. How can that be?" And so it's hard to. And now everybody has access to internet, so
Yeah.
anybody can go in on internet and buy.
Yes.
So that makes it a bit difficult, but selling singles is a bit easier.
Good. No, that's good. Well, in terms of selling singles or selling cars that are within the collector's budget where you
Yes,
live,
yes.
is it still hard to find buyers locally? Like, are there local car shows you can go to, or
No,
how's
there
that
are no
work?
local car shows yet. That hasn't been. Everybody who sells is basically IG, sorry,
Yeah.
Instagram, and a lot of there are about two or three, four TCG stores, but not sports stores.
Oh, I see.
So basically, through internet is that you can buy through IG.
Okay.
I personally always tell my friends that I won't open a store again. I had one, and I won't open one again. It's very complicated.
It's very complicated,
I
and
have a 9 to 5 job too, so
right. So time is a factor as well.
yes, time is a factor.
Do you remember when you opened that store? I know you mentioned that you had to close it down because the
Yes, I
economy
remember I
was going through a
mentioned
tough time.
yes.
But how did you like that experience of opening and having a card store?
To tell you the truth, I like more buying and selling than collecting at the end.
Okay.
So when I started in 1999, like I told you, what I did is all that baseball card inventory I had,
Mm,
that was with what I was going to open the store. So I started with that, and like I told you, on my first trip to the States, there's Pokemon, whatever, and I started introducing that. Since the beginning, people were more tending through TCG Pokemon.
right.
After Pokemon, we had Magic: The Gathering.
Mm,
It was very popular at that time.
yeah.
Then we had Yu-Gi-Oh, and there was another game from Wizards of the Coast that it doesn't longer exist. I don't know if you knew what it was. Duel Masters.
Okay.
It was very popular at once.
Hmm.
We even used to have big tournaments. For example, we used to have for Magic. We even had Dominican teams going to the worlds,
Oh wow.
paid by Wizards of the Coast. So
Yeah.
we were very into that, and also I personally spoke with Wizards and brought a judge here,
Hmm.
so we certified like 5 or 6 players
Yeah.
to be judges. So we had an official judge here also in the country.
I see.
So it was really a good business until whatever the government, whatever, it
Right.
was
Right.
got tough.
No, that's just really interesting to me because I see a kind of a steady evolution and just the card culture growing in
Hmm.
the Dominican. Do you see that as well? Like over the time
Yes,
you've
yes.
been in it for so long, do you see that the sports card or the TCG card
Yes,
culture is
there's a
growing in your
difference in
country?
sports cards of what I used to in 1999.
Yeah.
There's more, like I told you, we're educating people.
Right.
You hear people speaking about or asking or from people, how do you grade cards? Where do
Mm.
you do this?
Yeah.
Really, I don't do that here because you have to send to the States. And when there's a lot of mailing involved, I prefer not to take that risk.
Yeah.
I don't think it's worth the risk.
Yeah.
Personally, what I do is what I usually when I go to shows, I take cards that I want to grade, leave them with someone who grades cards, and
Hmm.
then they'll send it back to me. I
Yeah.
have to worry about one shipping, not going back and forth,
Right.
which for me it's part of the trouble of that.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, I'm not saying it's um that it's harder here in Canada, but there are similarities because I feel like our American friends certainly take a lot for granted because when you have
Yes,
to
yes,
cross
yes, they
borders,
do.
there's extra things you have to consider. But whether it's
Yes.
grading or whether it's buying or selling cards online, yeah, I can
Hmm.
totally empathize with that because even
For
shipping, it's not as
yes,
twice as expensive as where you are, but it is an additional cost on top of
yes, yes.
what our American friends would be paying otherwise.
Yes, and like I tell you, for example, for me, selling on eBay, for example, and I'm going on a trip, so I sell on eBay when I go to the States.
Yep.
I start 10 days before, do auctions and whatever,
Hmm.
and I go to the mail, deposit and pay and whatever, and at the end it's easier. I don't know, and they criticize a lot of their mailing system, but
Right.
it's 100 years ahead of ours. For example,
Right.
for us,
It's all relative. Yes.
yes, it is.
Oh,
Yes, it
that's
is.
funny. Yeah. So I only got a couple more questions, really, but
Yes, yes.
I've been enjoying this conversation, and I know you already know, and some of our loyal listeners already know that I'll be traveling to New York for Fanatics Fest, third
Hmm.
year in a row, and my first time
Nice.
at West Coast Card Show in LA. So it'll be a busy, busy weekend. But of course, you've been sharing how you have traveled to shows before. So I'm
Yes.
wondering, Pablo, if you had any tips for me about traveling abroad to card shows away from home. What should I bring? What
Mhm.
should I think about? Anything like that?
What I usually bring is everybody says comfortable shoes. You have to walk a
Of
lot.
course. Yeah.
What I like also is instead of backpacks, for example, because your back will hurt eventually. I usually have a small suitcase, a carry-on,
Right.
with wheels, so it's easier to go around.
I like that.
There's some of those that have a zipper on the end, and you can just stick things in, and you don't have to open it completely.
Yeah.
What I usually have is a backpack on top of that, so I
Oh, I
have more
see.
space to keep things.
Yeah.
What I always forget is slaps and sleeves. It's always good to have.
Yeah.
I usually always forget. I have it here in my house full of sleeves, and I always forget when I'm packing.
Right.
And some previous knowledge of what you're looking for
Mm,
example.
yeah.
Like I told you this time in when I went to Expo, I was basically more into Pokemon than into sports.
Right.
I found a lot of cards, TCG cards. Like I told you, it was triple the size of double the size of what I had seen 2 years previous.
Yes.
But at the end, at the last day of the show, it was funny because I was leaving to take the taxi to go back to my son's house,
Hmm.
and I passed by a table that was in a corner, and I saw a Roberto Clemente card, and it called me and said like, "Hey, hello, hello, I'm
Yeah.
here,"
Yeah.
and I bought that card. So
You had to. You had
that
to.
was
Yeah.
funny. I had to buy it because it called my attention. So at
Yes.
least I bought it.
That's great.
But it's interesting, and like I tell you, be prepared. I heard DC tell you water.
Right.
You usually have to walk half a show to go to a food stand, so it's good to
Yeah.
have water with you. Basically, those are my tips.
Excellent. Great advice. Appreciate that. And I'm wondering too, when you buy cards, in terms of bringing everything over back home, do you have boxes handy, or how do you transport those cards?
What I usually do to be on the safe side is I usually have it in my backpack and my portable suitcase.
Yeah.
I don't put things in my big suitcase because of whatever.
Sure.
And really, if at the end, if the cards, if loose cards, whatever, they don't occupy that much.
Hmm.
Sealed product, yes, you have to have more space for that.
Right.
But usually customs in the states and whatever don't have trouble with that.
Hmm.
But when you pass customs in DR, you usually when they pass X-rays, they see the cards as money. They think it's money, so
Right.
you have to open them and show them this is this is
I
that.
see. Yeah.
So they know what it is. But it usually seems that in X-rays, what they
Yeah.
see is money. So want to see if it's true, if it's money or not, it's not
Right.
money.
See other things that a lot of people don't have to worry about or think
Yes,
about.
yes, yes.
But yeah, last question. I think you already answered it, but are you traveling to any card shows anytime in the near future, or?
No, right now I have no one programmed. I do have a trip to Miami today. Precisely, I was searching if to see if there was anything on the dates I was going to Miami,
Yeah,
but I didn't see anything yet. But I might go to Expo again in November. I'm trying to decide
I hope so.
to see when I go and see my son. I think I'll be in Toronto. I will be go with my wife in
Amazing.
October and
Yeah.
maybe go back in November.
I hope you
I'm
do
just
because Will, I know you met him at
yes,
the
yes.
expo, and I think we're pretty close to securing another table for the November show. So
Okay.
we'll be there representing the podcast and buying and selling
Perfect.
cards. So if you are there, of course, please say hello again, and
Yes.
and
It
it'll
will
be
be
a
a
great
pleasure
time.
for me.
Yes, so us too. We appreciate you listening, and I remember this is a funny story. I'll end off with that you commented on one of our episodes on Spotify, and we're just saying. I think I was just saying. Just looking at the data, we have most of our listeners are from the U.S. and then in
Yes,
Canada,
yes,
and I'm
yes.
like, oh, we have a small contingent from Dominican Republic, and we're kind of laughing about that. And then you mentioned like, oh, I'm one of those listeners.
Yes, yes, yes. I remember. It was
Yeah.
like Spotify end of the year that says you had X% from the DR,
Yeah,
and
that's
you
right.
would you said a comment and said, I'm one of them.
And then I'm like,
I really follow your program, so it's very nice for me to hear every week. I hear
that's
your
awesome.
episodes.
That's awesome. And yeah, I think we're joking. It's like, it's because we talk about Juan Soto a lot on our program.
Yes,
And of course, Vladdy
that-
Guerrero Jr. is on our team too.
yes.
So,
Yes,
um,
the story of the Juan Soto card you always do.
right, right.
It's very nice.
Yeah,
And how
no,
you started with cards to the moon.
yeah.
It's an interesting story also.
And 5 card guys, exactly. But yes, I know you're a dedicated and loyal listener, so I appreciate that. And Pablo, thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. And I was really looking forward to this.
Yes.
Yeah, had a great chat.
Anytime you need to talk with me, I'll be open. So
Thank you.
for me, it's a pleasure talking to you. It was a pleasure knowing you at Expo. So I think we can keep in touch.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.